This is a solution for Evans Chapter 3, Problem 7. The Excel file Internet usage provides data about users of the Internet. Construct stacked bar charts that will allow you to compare any difference due to age or educational attainment and draw any conclusions that you can. Would another type of chart be more appropriate? Well, they mentioned stacked bar charts. We're going to go for a stacked column chart for our solution here. So the column charts are vertical lines or bars, and the bar chart in Excel nomenclature is the bar charts are horizontal lines or horizontal bars. So here's our data that's telling us internet usage of 2009, according to a U.S. Census Bureau somewhere, some demographic that they're using here, or geographic area that they're using. So the age under 25, 25 to 34, 35 to 44, et cetera, et cetera. We've got that. So we have one table by age, and we have another table by educational attainment of individuals 25 years and older. Okay, so we actually have one fewer row of information here than we did before. We don't have educational attainment of individuals under 25 years. Okay, so we're going to produce two charts here, one for each. Okay, and so really the exercise here is just trying a different kind of vertical chart or column chart here. We're going to insert a column chart, and when we look at it, there's two different kinds of stacked column charts. One of them gives you absolute values, and one of them gives you relative values. Let's do the absolute numbers first. So we're going to select this as our type of chart, okay? And for the purposes of this exercise, we're not going to go through other kinds of formatting like chart title, axis title over here. This is probably set up just fine. This legend over here works just fine. We're not going to finish it off for publication reasons, okay? So you might take this a bit further. Remember, like doing things like softening up the font using a gray rather than a black over here. That's easier on the eyes. Okay, well anyway, let's take a look at the chart with what we got. And how does this work? Okay, so we're looking at the charting was smart enough to take things in order. It uses these row labels underneath each of the columns, and for each row it turns it into a column over here. So it's converting from a row here to a column here. Okay. So there's some kind of interesting things that go on here. Under 25 years, the total number of in the sample here, we could do a really quick summation for each line here, and what we'll see is that these numbers should correlate to what we're seeing over here. So the first column should only be about 11,000 high. We can see the green just breaks through that horizontal line for 10,000 on the vertical axis. Okay, and the next one's 34,000. Okay, great. Okay, so that's what we're looking at here. Is the column height is all of these segments added together, and let's get specific to what we're looking at here. So we're looking at under 25 years that has no internet, and then we said under 25 years that has internet. And technically, if you add these two up, that should be the reporting sample size. This should be the number of reports that came back. In other words, people that actually returned the survey. And so you're getting up into the 6,000 and 600. It's about 6,600 respondents that came back totally. These are exclusive things. You either have internet, you do not have internet. So it's about 6,600. And then the next two columns are classified. They're actually classified here as broadband and dial-up. Okay, there's two different kinds of internet. Now, something that you'll notice here is that those numbers don't absolutely add up. This is actual data. This book and these samples are actual data out of real data that comes from anywhere that it's stating. Not much. I don't think any of this is fabricated. These are all researched tables that we're using. This is actual data. So this is the kind of imperfect data you might get back. So what we've done is we've added up everybody along these lines, and we're showing it in our chart. But the relative sizes of these, are they really that useful? because this information, even though we did a column of 4 things, some of them are redundant. They're not really comparing apples to apples, because broadband and dial-up should basically equal how many people have internet. And if we do something here and we sum up the broadband and dial-up, something we'll notice about the data is somehow we're getting a number less than those that reported they had internet. They probably just didn't check off these classifications of what type of internet they had. And what happens in your surveys, not everybody is, you don't get perfect data back. So while we're looking at these data here, it's kind of funny what we're looking at. Is it really that interesting? So you have to ask yourself, are we plotting the right thing? Really, we could plot no internet versus internet, and then we could plot another graph that shows broadband versus dial-up. Those are kind of more interesting. Otherwise, it's apples and oranges that we're comparing here. So nevertheless, we did our chart for that, and we're using absolute numbers. The height of the column is actual to the total of the row total. Okay, so every row here is totaled up, and we're looking at the column. Okay, so we'll do another chart over here for educational attainment. Remember, we have one fewer line than we had before. Not necessarily that interesting. I'm just noting that. Okay, so we're going to insert the same type of column chart here, which is using absolute numbers, and that might become a little bit clearer when we show an alternative to how we might show this data. Okay. Okay, so again, the column headings on here, I'm not sure that you're really going to use these in too many applications. How you draw information from what you're looking at here is really a waterfall. Is somebody going through these, you're kind of dipping down. Each one of these dips down to a little bit of a different classification, higher specificity. And you have a no internet versus an internet. And once you know those numbers, with an internet, you have these two numbers. And even then, it's not perfect data that if you add up broadband and dial-up, that does not necessarily equal what they've got for internet. And this is a really good example of what data looks like. A little bit messy. Okay. So nevertheless, we have a plot for each. There we go. Let's try something else. Let's take a look at the data again. A different kind of plot here. And we're going to insert a column. But you'll notice there's another type here. And this type is what they call 100% stacked. And what it does is, for each column, it normalizes it against a percentage, 100%. Here you can see relative distances or relative sizes of these against each other. In here, we're just dealing with percentages. So you might want both of them. You might want both of them. Not one of them explains something, or each of them explains something different. You might need both, or you want to use both to explain two different things. So obviously, if we did a chart for each of those using the absolute numbers, we'll do the relative one here, the 100% stack that you call it. Insert 100% stacked. Okay, and there you have it. I'll just move these together. So we're looking at data by age, who has internet and what type, if they do, and also by levels of education. So we'll talk about this in class, about what some of these numbers might mean. We'll do some interpretation there. That's good enough for the video. Thank you very much.